Okay, hello everybody. I am Jackie Cox and of ACE Community, and I'm super excited to be here with Carrie Lehtonen. She is going to be our featured speaker for our upcoming meeting for ACE Community on Wednesday, September 4th, and she's with Firefly Community. So super excited to have you here, Carrie. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm just going to introduce Carrie really quick, and then we're going to have a nice, fun conversation, talk about what she's been up to. She's in a super creative community herself that she's been leading for a while. She's a recent author, so I'm super excited to have this conversation. So Carrie Lehtonen is an entrepreneur, passionate animal advocate, and storyteller. Her work has been featured in Elephant Journal, Yoga Plus Life, and Well magazine. She earned a master's degree in organizational leadership and spent over 18 years working in human resources. After surviving a heart attack at 31, I knew that. That's so crazy, though. At 31, Carrie chose to pursue an education in health and wellness. Carrie attended the Institute for Integrative Nutrition to become a holistic health practitioner. She also trained to become a registered yoga teacher and educator. Carrie eventually left her career in human resources to start her own business, Firefly Community LLC. And then Positive Perspectives is Carrie's first book, which I've just started reading, and I'm super excited about it. So welcome, Carrie. Thanks for coming today. So Carrie, tell us a little bit more about you beyond your bio here, and tell us how you got started and how you overcame some things. Oh my gosh, you've overcome so much in your life.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie. So, as you mentioned, I survived a heart attack when I was 31 years old. I was actually on a 60-mile bike ride with friends, and
Wow.
I was having symptoms that at the time I had no idea had anything to do with my heart. Um,
Wow.
and lucky for me, my friend didn't take no for an answer when he insisted that we go to the hospital. It turns out I had a blood clot in my coronary artery, and I would not have survived had I not gone to the hospital that day.
Oh my God.
So, very fortunate. I was very physically active, so I had a strong heart muscle, so I don't have any damage to my heart muscle. So very fortunate in that regard. At the time, I was working in a really stressful human resources job, and I was busy, like a lot of us, climbing the corporate ladder and
Yeah.
doing what I thought were the right things. But that kind of stopped me in my tracks and made me realize I wanted
Yeah.
to learn what more I could do to be heart healthy, and also how I could help others because I after my heart attack, I started connecting with the American Heart Association and learned that 80% of heart disease is preventable with lifestyle changes. So I
Wow.
viewed that as a positive, as something that we can really change and have an impact on.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's so incredible. I'm just grateful to have you here sitting with us today. You sent chills all the way up and down my whole body when, you just talked about it could have been different, right? And so I am so curious. So what was the biggest thing that you changed almost instantly after going through that experience?
Well, one thing I definitely realized was that stress is a huge factor. And I was really in a stressful job, in a stressful situation.
Yeah.
I also I wanted to learn more. So I wanted to learn more about nutrition. So I started reading books. I attended the
Yeah.
Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And over time, it didn't happen right away, but over time, I transitioned to a 100% plant-based diet so that I could get off some of the medications and focus more on managing my heart disease through diet and through lifestyle. So, and kind of during that whole transition is also when I discovered yoga. And that's when everything really came together for me as
Yeah.
the connection between our mind, our body, and our spirit, and how all of those things are related and
Yeah.
integrated, and the importance of all of them. So
Absolutely.
I really dove deep into yoga, and I initially took teacher training just for myself to learn more about yoga.
Sure.
And I had I switched jobs during that time frame too to something that was more flexible, and I could work from home and had
Yeah.
more ability to be in control of my days.
Sure.
And people that I worked with at the new company found out that I went through training to become a yoga teacher and had me start teaching some yoga classes to them. So then it all kind of just evolved from there. I started teaching one class, then two classes, then teaching at a studio, and Eventually decided to start my own business, Firefly Community, where I was not only teaching yoga classes, but also started leading yoga retreats around the world. And
Yes,
so
I am so
that
excited to hear more about that because I'm on your communication and I love seeing the upcoming. I still have February is still kind of on my radar. This big trip in September, I kind of have to see how we balance things out, but it's still a bit on my radar. I for one, I know the value of yoga and I know the importance of it. I am not as frequent about it as I know it could be so good for me. So, how do you talk to your clients? I mean, how do you talk to your clients about the importance of the yoga and these retreats that you do and how it helps you just feel more balanced and more, I mean, you and I, we speak very similar languages in a different way, but very similarly too.
Mhm.
So how do you talk to your clients about, the importance of taking the time to breathe and taking the time for themselves and going on these retreats just to reset? I mean, what does that look like for you, your process?
Yeah, so and I'm sorry, my dogs just started barking at
Oh,
something, but hopefully it's not
all right.
coming through. So when I talk to clients about finding time, it's really just prioritizing your well-being because I find women especially, we tend to take care of everyone else and not really pay a lot of attention to our own health and well-being and
Yeah,
mental health and emotional health in addition to physical health. And so I just remind people, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to keep taking care of everyone else. So it's really important to carve out that time for self-care and
right,
to also effectively manage your stress. And
right,
yoga can do so many things for you. As you mentioned, I feel like yoga helps us learn how to breathe, which helps us when we're in situations that we need to take a step back
right,
um, and respond rather than react to things.
right.
It's also great for our physical health. And I feel like, and this happened for me, and I see this transition happen for a lot of people. Once you start doing yoga and you start feeling better, or you start eating better and you start feeling better, it snowballs from there. And you just,
Yeah,
you want to keep going
yeah,
because you notice a difference kind of immediately, and you want that difference to continue to evolve and to continue to feel good. And so but
right.
really, the biggest step, as is taking that first step. And once you start hitting those smaller goals, you can start seeing a change and seeing a difference, and
Yeah.
that helps give you the motivation to keep going.
Absolutely, absolutely. 21 days to make a habit and then 60 to make it stick, right? And so
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you on that. I started CrossFit a few months ago and I'm minorly on the injured reserve list right now. And so I'm feeling very frustrated because I'm
Mhm.
craving that workout now and it's fine. I'm listening to my body. I also am craving that workout because that's I've built in that habit for the last 3.5 months. And so now I'm like, oh, what am I going to do differently that I can still
Mhm.
recover my body, but then also be in movement state and things like that. And so yoga, I mean, would be wonderful for me in this state right now. Just because it helps to, completely flex you out and stretch you out and give that mobility back and put some more energy to that healing
Mhm.
process. So I know all these things. I know I need to do it type of thing. But I do relate, what you're talking about though, to, the really even the stress and things like that. I do relate that to fun as well. I mean, I think there's so much, importance of having fun in our lives. And that's why I started Ace Community. And same thing, I think that that's along the lines of where you're at with these retreats as well. We've got to make time for us to feel good. And the more we feel good, the more we want, the more we crave those types of things. No different than you have a choice. You can put sugar in your body, you can put carrots in your body. If you put enough carrots in your body, eventually your body will crave that instead of the sugar, right? And so it's doing the things that are good for you that feel good at the same time. And so I love what you're doing. So talk to us. I know you do a lot of different fun things for your community as well, some paddle boarding and the retreats that you mentioned, of course, the yoga. So talk to us about some of the fun things you do within your community.
Yeah, so well, one of my favorite things is connecting with the nature, and I feel like that's something that is really fun and helpful for others as well. So in my retreats, there's always a component of connecting with nature in addition to connecting to
Love it.
yourself and with others. So for example, the retreat I'm leading in North Carolina next month will have a hiking
Yes.
component for that. As you mentioned, I teach stand-up paddleboard yoga, so that for me is super fun because it combines the two things that I love, which is
Yeah.
being on the water and yoga, and it's really fun for people to get out there and, um, I always remind people if it gives them a whole new appreciation for a warrior two pose. So, if you feel like your yoga practice is maybe feeling a little um, like dull or you want to shake things up a bit, I'd say getting out on the paddleboard is a great way to do that. So in addition to the longer retreats that I hold or the overnight retreats, I also try to at least once a quarter have an activity or I call them a half day retreat where we do something outside and
Yay.
then go into a yoga class. So for example, in the summer it might be a hike and then yoga. And
Yeah.
then in the winter, it might be a snowshoe or cross country ski and then yoga. And that's just a great way for people to get outside, connect to nature, and then also connect to themselves and their bodies,
Yeah.
and also have fun in community and be with other people.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I love that what you're doing. And again, we're so much in sync in that space. I mean, we talk about nature. I mean, nature has been huge for me for years and big part of my brand and the fun part of it. But being able to feel connected to a community is so important. I mean, luckily we're 4 years past, the crap that happened a while ago, but it's just we as human beings, we crave people. Whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, you still need to be around people at some point. We are social beings, and so that community can help, feel that level, a sense of encouragement and um, just lifting each other really and just feeling connected, so I love what you're doing in that community. I love that there's some half day stuff too. That's fantastic.
Mhm. Yeah, it makes it accessible for people who maybe can't get away for
Yeah.
3 7 night retreat.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So was the inspiration truly your change in lifestyle that helped you start this community, or was there something other than that it was your lead source of inspiration?
So definitely my transition to focusing more on myself and what I needed and following my passion and purpose. Because I feel like I was in a similar situation that I think a lot of us get into of following what we think we're supposed to do or what society expects of
Right.
us. And so, I was like, well, I'm having success because I'm climbing the corporate ladder, but really there's no success if you don't have your health. So
Correct.
it helped open my eyes, and then I realized I wanted to help other people tap into
Yeah.
their passion and purpose so that they could live not only healthier lives, but happier lives. I mean, there's no point if we're not happy, right? And I went on my first retreat. I attended a retreat, I think it was in 2011 in Costa Rica,
Oh, good for you.
and it was it was amazing to have that whole week to just do things that were good for my spirit and my
So,
body.
yeah.
And it gave me an opportunity to step out of my day to day responsibilities in life so that
Uh,
I could really start to tap into what really makes me tick, what really makes me feel lit up and alive. And so that's why I decided I wanted to start leading retreats as well, because I do think sometimes we get so mired in our responsibilities and the expectations that we put on ourselves and that other people put on us
yeah.
that it can be difficult to break out of that without really stepping away from it for at least, 4 to 8 days to really be able to reconnect to who you really are and what really um, makes you tick and what makes you happy. So that's why I decided to start leading retreats myself, which I started
Yeah.
doing in 2015. And it's been
Yeah.
a fun journey, except for, of course, as you mentioned, COVID in 2020, everything had to come to a screeching halt. But it's, as we've gotten back into it, I think not only the piece of connecting to yourself, but the thing I've seen really
Yeah.
develop a lot in the last 4 years is having that sense of community and connecting with other people. I'm now seeing a lot more of return participants of they get to be friends with these other people that they're traveling with
Sure.
and retreating with, and then they all just want to keep coming back together on these retreats, which is great. And it's
Yeah.
really fun to see.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it becomes a friend trip then, and now you're
Hmm.
past some of those, barriers up front, right? Where now we're just us, and we're here, and we're doing this together, and we're, just sharing that experience is so valuable. It's just there's really truly nothing like that. I mean, I've led group retreats too, and internationally as well as locally, domestically, and it's important because there's a sense
Hmm.
of deep connection there that just carries on for so long after that retreat. And then, I mean, that's so good then, because then it's like, oh, you're truly fueled. You are truly fueled then, and that sense of belonging with each other and that shared experience. So, well, awesome. Carrie, so,
Absolutely.
so tell us a little bit. I'm going to get into the book a little. I definitely want to get into the book. But before we do that, what do you feel like has been the most adventurous thing you've done in your life to date?
So before we jumped on the live stream, you were talking about your upcoming trip to Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
That was part of one of my most adventurous things that I did. While I was still in the corporate world, I took a 6-week sabbatical to travel around in South and Central America. So I did a 2-week trip in Peru, which included hiking the Inca Trail, which was
Yeah.
a breathtaking and amazing experience. And I also traveled around a little bit in Chile and Argentina on a hiking and
Nice.
biking trip. And then from there, I went to the Galapagos and I did some scuba diving. I like scuba diving a lot. And I got to scuba dive with hammerhead sharks, which was an
Oh,
incredible experience.
woo,
Yeah, they're a little intimidating, but I was far enough away that I didn't
yeah.
feel threatened. Um, and then I also, the tail end of that, I went to Costa Rica, which was a 2-week part of my advanced yoga teacher training, which was a
Nice.
3-part thing that I went back 3 times for 2 weeks at a time. So that made up my 6 weeks away, but it was a little scary to be away for so long and to do all of that. And, some of it was with groups, but, with all people I didn't know. But it was definitely well worth it and great to challenge myself that way and to explore that part of the world. It was amazing.
That's so great. Wow, what an experience. And good for you for taking that 6 week sabbatical and knowing that you needed that. Again, you've called it a transition time where, I mean, corporate can take a lot out of people, and the expectations become very high. And it's always interesting to me because European countries, South American countries, by the sound of it, um, other countries other than the United States, they do a much better job of take shutting things down and taking the time they need to reset and refocus. And I think we as Americans, we're just in this constant high speed pace. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. How did we get here, first of all? And every other country kind of looks at us like, it's no wonder you guys are stressed out, you know? And so I commend you for taking that 6 week sabbatical, because it's so important to be able to reset. I mean, to say that, corporate places give us even 2 or 3 or even 4 weeks off in a year, though, they don't ever expect you to take it all at the same time. And so when you do, it's like, whoa, good for you, and I think that's really, really amazing. this trip coming up, we are going to Machu Picchu and Peru, and I'm super excited about it. And I'm not taking my laptop, and my husband's not taking his laptop, and it's because it doesn't make sense, right? I mean, we're going to be hiking for 4 days and things like that, and so it just doesn't make sense to take it. And that feels pretty good this time. Where oftentimes when I've led some of those international retreats, I love it. And then I also end up working a little bit because I'm, taking care of the people that are on the trip with us. Again, I love that. And I don't want any of my audience to think that I don't love that. I absolutely do. It does lend itself to not being fully reset though. You know what I mean? When you're the leader of the facilitator, your brain is in motion a lot. And so, being able to take this trip, I mean, Jeff and I, there are friends of ours going with us, and our travel agent is going with us. But I didn't have to plan it, and I didn't organize it and didn't bring the group together. So that feels good this time. It feels a little weird at the same time, but it feels good too, just to be able to be a participant, be there and truly enjoy it, when we're there and being present fully. So I commend you for taking 6 weeks. So thank you for sharing your adventure. I love that. So since we're talking about adventure, writing a book seems pretty adventurous. So talk to us about positive perspectives from Ella's point of view and your beautiful, lovely dog of 15 years. I am so excited to get further into this book, but why don't you share with us, with the audience, a little bit, high level overhead view of the book, so we don't give too much away, but at the same time wanting to dive into it.
Yeah, so the book kind of evolved. It started out as just a practice for myself to help heal my heart because I lost Ella in August of 2021. And for a while, I had so many memories of her that I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to forget. So I just started jotting things down and writing things down. And eventually I wrote an article for Elephant Journal that was the top 10 things that I learned from my shelter dog. And I received a lot of good feedback from that. And so I just kept writing. And before I knew it, I had 40 lessons that I learned
Wow.
from Ella. I mean, that 15 years that I spent with her was a very transformational time in my life. And she was a very unique and special dog that I rescued from the shelter. And we spent 15 years adventuring together and learning together. And I even still, after coming up with those 40 lessons, I wasn't sure, about sharing it with the world. It
Oh,
was, again, mostly for myself. But I happened to attend a writers conference, and I met a woman who's an editor from Canada, and she's really great. And so I shared it with her, and she helped to, I guess, give me that extra confidence and push that, this is something that really needs to be out in the world, that other people can benefit from what I learned from Ella. So
right.
I ended up writing the book from Ella's perspective because,
Yeah.
as in the little subtitle, it's Life Lessons from the Shelter Dog Who Became Queen. We
Yeah.
always called her Queen because she was kind of the head of the household. And so I wrote it from her perspective because I figured she wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
And it was really fun for me to write, and I really hope people enjoy it and take away from it just even a few little tidbits that can help them in their life.
Yeah, well, that's so awesome. I'm so excited to dive into it. As a dog person myself, we've always been dog people, and shelter dogs specifically too. And we just, we end up kind of sharing their story, right? We're like, we know what they're thinking, and if they could talk, this has got to be what they're thinking, right? And so I love that you wrote it from her perspective, and just knowing that she was the queen of the house. So how did she get that title? Like what were some of the antics that she did to earn that title?
Well, first of all, she had these incredibly sad brown eyes
Oh,
that just melt you in a second. So she got up to a lot of antics. She was a very energetic and curious dog that got into a lot of things. Just one example, just one time made the mistake of leaving her in the car with some stuff that we had packed up to go camping. So I had to run into the store to grab one more thing that we forgot. And I came out and found that the package of 8 hamburger buns was completely gone.
Oh no!
She opened the package and ate 8 hamburger buns. And of course then she gives me that look of, oh, but I wasn't supposed to have, like, gives me the sad eyes. And so I could never be mad at her for long. But if there was food anywhere within her reach, she was on it and figuring out a way to get it. Um, she always got in the trash. She was always very methodical about ripping apart all of her toys to pull out the squeakers and just sit there and squeak because that was her favorite part of the toy.
Right, right.
So she was always up to no good. But she also was, even as a puppy, I felt like she had this look of wisdom about her, and she just kind
Oh,
of knew that life was supposed to be this grand adventure, and she was up for anything.
love
We
it.
took lots of road trips together, and we hiked all over Colorado and Montana, and took her to the beach in California, and she was always in for the adventure no matter what it was.
Yeah.
And also taught me to step back though and take the time to enjoy the views. Hiking was her favorite thing to do, and she always took time to stop at the vistas to look
Yeah.
out and appreciate the
Oh,
world around her. Um, so yeah, she definitely had some qualities that and I think I say this in the book, that might make people think she was a bad dog, but really she was just a very outgoing and adventurous dog.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And they do too. They do teach us so much. I mean, they teach us about love, resilience, kindness, forgiveness. I mean, they teach us so much. And from every dog we've had, and oftentimes we call ours knuckleheads because they're kind of just goofballs mostly, but every dog has taught us something a little deeper, and then our Joey dog, 3 legs, and he wanted to hike with us for as long as he could, and hiked well over, a couple thousand miles through the time that we had him, and on 3 legs. And it just, the resilience that he had and the loyalty that he had towards us to keep pushing forward. And I mean, it's just incredible, and they're so incredibly insightful and soulful. And you're right. I read it in the introduction that she knew right away John was a good guy, and and so they're so intuitive when it comes to who's gonna love on them and who's gonna be kind to them and who's gonna respect them and their space. And they are so intuitive about reading people much more than we are, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. She
Yes.
definitely could pick out the people that had a good spirit.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, I'm excited to dive in. So be sure to go onto either Amazon or else fireflycommunity.com, and you'll find her book, Positive Perspectives, written by Carrie. So I'm excited to dive in further. So yay, that's awesome that you wrote it and you're a published author now. So congratulations.
Thank you. Now I
Yeah,
guess I have to call myself a writer. For the longest time, I didn't call myself a writer, even though I write a weekly newsletter and blog. And
yeah,
now I'm like, I guess now that I'm a published author, I have to
you're a
actually
writer.
start calling myself a writer.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, awesome. Well, as we wind down here, what do you have coming up that you want to share with the audience? And again, we're super excited to have you speak for our group next week.
Yeah, I'm excited to speak for the group next week. And then now I'm starting to get back into retreat season. I took some time off from retreats because I had a partial knee replacement in March.
Yeah.
But I am back at it now. And so I have a 3-night retreat in September in North Carolina. I have a 7-night retreat coming up in Costa Rica in November, and then a 2 to 3 night retreat in Colorado in February. And it's 2 to 3 nights because the last night is a VIP option for people who want to stay and extend the trip a bit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, yay. So, and how do people get in touch with you? I think I said the website, but what's the best way to get in touch with you then?
Yeah, the website is fireflycommunity.com. I'm also on all the social media outlets. So Instagram is Firefly Community. Facebook is actually Firefly Yoga Community. So that one's
Okay.
just a little bit different.
Yeah, someone grabbed it before you.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Well, we are so excited to have you, Carrie, next week. We are going to be our ACE community, so Adventure, Creativity, and Enjoyment, is going to be featuring Carrie as our speaker next week, Wednesday, September 4th. We do meet from 4 to 6 p.m. at Bucket List Tavern in Castle Rock. The meeting is free to attend, so you can go to the website swirlsllc.com, look at the events tab, and you'll be able to register for the event right there, for the meeting right there. That way you'll get a chance to hear Carrie. She's going to be bringing some books with her as well, so those will be for sale at the meeting. So definitely join us for that and hear more about Carrie and her story. And I'm so glad to have you come on today, Carrie. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.